To further demonstrate the effect of sound traveling through a solid medium, have the students construct a string telephone. What I've taken here is just a plastic cup and punched a hole in the end and passed a string through it, and then the other end of the string I just attach a piece of toothpick so that when I pull the string taut, the toothpick itself will hold the string in place. And then we do that for the other side as well, and so now I've got two cups joined together by means of a string. You then pull the string taut, and one person speaks into it, the other person listens by holding the telephone to the ear, or the can to the ear. So I have my assistant now holding one end of the telephone in front of the microphone, and I'll step back. You might want to just put the... And now I'll speak into the microphone from a distance. Here's my normal voice. Here's my voice speaking into the string telephone. My normal voice speaking into the telephone the way around. If the string is hanging loose, it does not carry the sound as well as when the string itself is taut, as in this case here. Thank you very much. The string telephone is actually a very good way to get students excited about a unit on science. Many students, many teachers even, have never played or experimented with a string telephone, which is rather unfortunate. With our high-tech society, there's a tremendous emphasis on all the electronic stuff, but not on the simple stuff that also demonstrates some basic principles. Some examples of how you can use this in your teaching. Have students use the string telephone, then have someone hold the string and see if the sound is transmitted through that. Another neat activity is to actually have a group of students set up a party line by crossing two or more strings. This is actually an interesting little activity. And have one person then speak into the cup and have the other 3 or 5 people listen on their end to see whether or not the sound is actually transmitted. Try going around a corner and see if the string telephone works. And then have students try to explain the different situations. Why is it that the string has to be taut in order to have good transmission of sound? Why doesn't it work when it's hanging loose? In terms of the logistics for doing this demonstration, you could use a tin can. I find that a plastic cup works well, they're readily available, and it doesn't have any sharp edges on it that could cut the students. It's also easy to punch a hole in here, just use, for example, a compass and prick a hole in the end. The kind of string you use is also important. If you use a heavier string, it tends to dampen the sound and not transmit the sound very well. What I'm using here is embroidery thread, but you could also use a nylon fishing line, which also works well, or any kind of thread that is fairly thin and doesn't have a lot of fuzzy threads associated with it, as you get with wool, for example. Have fun with it. Make sure you do it with your students.